All right, tech and geopolitics enthusiasts, buckle up because we're diving headfirst into a deal that's got everyone talking. President Trump's massive $142 billion arms agreement with Saudi Arabia. Is this a masterstroke of diplomacy and economic strategy, or a risky gamble with potentially disastrous consequences? That's the million-dollar question, or should I say, the $142 billion question. Stick around, because we're about to unpack this complex situation and give you the insights you won't find anywhere else. I'm going to give it to you straight, no filler, just the facts and the analysis you need to stay informed. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. During his recent trip to Riyadh, President Trump announced this colossal arms deal with Saudi Arabia. The White House is calling it the largest defense cooperation agreement in history. We're talking about deals with over a dozen American defense companies, covering everything from air and missile defense to advanced communication systems. The official line? This deal will strengthen the partnership between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, ushering in a new golden era. But is it really that simple? Not even close. This deal is dripping with complexity and controversy. We're talking Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon. The big players are all involved. But at what cost? Now, let's talk numbers. $142 billion is a staggering figure. The Trump administration argues that this deal will create countless jobs in the U.S., boost the economy, and secure crucial alliances in the Middle East. They point to Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 plan to diversify its economy away from oil and claim this arms deal is a key component of that strategy. But here's the kicker. Critics argue that this is a short-sighted approach. They say it prioritizes immediate economic gains over long-term strategic considerations. Are we sacrificing our values for a quick buck? That's the question we need to consider. Think about the jobs created in the defense sector versus the potential impact on other industries. It's a complex equation. Beyond the economic implications, this deal has serious ramifications for the geopolitical landscape. The U.S. has long maintained a delicate balance of power in the Middle East, and this massive influx of arms could upset that balance. Some experts, like Elizabeth Dent from the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, suggest this deal might even be tied to a potential civil nuclear agreement between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. But here's where it gets really interesting. What about Israel? Elliot Abram, a senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, points out that Trump skipped visiting Israel during this high-profile trip. Is this a sign that the U.S. is prioritizing its relationship with Saudi Arabia over its long-standing alliance with Israel? The implications are huge. This isn't just about selling weapons. It's about reshaping the entire geopolitical chessboard. Let's not forget the elephant in the room, Saudi Arabia's human rights record. Critics argue that selling weapons to a country with a questionable human rights history is morally reprehensible. They point to Saudi Arabia's involvement in the Yemen conflict and accuse the country of using U.S.-supplied weapons to commit atrocities. This raises a fundamental question. Should the U.S. prioritize human rights over economic and strategic interests? It's a tough question, and there are no easy answers. But we can't ignore the ethical dimension of this deal. We need to ask ourselves, what kind of message are we sending to the world when we arm a country with a history of human rights abuses? It's a moral tightrope walk. Adding another layer of complexity to this whole situation, Trump also announced that he was lifting U.S. sanctions on Syria. He claimed this was to support a new government and stabilize the country. But many see this as a move to appease Saudi Arabia, which has been pushing for the U.S. to ease sanctions on Syria. This decision has been met with widespread criticism, with many arguing that it will only embolden the Syrian regime and prolong the conflict. Are we sacrificing the Syrian people for political expediency? That's what the critics are saying. It's a tangled web of alliances and competing interests. This is way deeper than just a weapons deal. It's about regional power, political maneuvering, and the future of the Middle East. Now, for a bit of celebrity intrigue. Elon Musk and Sam Altman were also present at the VIP lunch with Trump and Saudi officials. Musk, who previously claimed he'd be scaling back his involvement with the Department of Government Efficiency, seems to be playing a significant role in the Trump administration. What were they discussing? AI, energy, the future of technology in the Middle East? It's all speculation, but their presence underscores the growing importance of technology in geopolitics. These aren't just business deals. They're strategic partnerships that could shape the future of the world. And the fact that Musk and Altman are involved suggests that this deal is about more than just weapons. It's about technology, innovation, and the future of the global economy. Okay, let's play devil's advocate for a second. Some argue that this arms deal is a necessary evil. They say that Saudi Arabia is a key ally in the fight against terrorism, and that providing them with advanced weapons is essential for maintaining regional stability. They also argue that if the US doesn't sell these weapons, other countries will, like Russia or China. So, the argument goes, it's better for the US to control the flow of arms and maintain its influence in the region. It's a realpolitik argument, a cold and calculating view of the world. But can we really justify selling weapons to a country with a questionable human rights record, even if it's in our strategic interest? That's the dilemma we face. And let's not forget about Iran. This arms deal comes at a time of heightened tensions between the US and Iran, with ongoing negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. Some analysts believe that this deal is intended to send a message to Iran, demonstrating US resolve and commitment to its allies in the region. But others worry that it will only escalate tensions and make a peaceful resolution even more difficult. It's a delicate dance, a high-stakes game of geopolitical chess. One wrong move could have catastrophic consequences. The future of the Middle East hangs in the balance. The Saudis are promising massive investments in the US as part of this deal, potentially reaching $1 trillion. They're talking about investing in AI, energy, and infrastructure. This could create countless jobs and boost the US economy. But here's the catch. These investments are contingent on the arms deal. Are we being held hostage by Saudi money? Are we sacrificing our principles for economic gain? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves. It's a Faustian bargain, a tempting offer with potentially dire consequences. This arms deal has far-reaching implications for the entire Middle East. It could embolden Saudi Arabia to take a more aggressive stance in the region, potentially leading to further conflicts. It could also alienate other countries in the region, like Qatar and the United Arab Emirates, who may see this deal as a sign that the US is favoring Saudi Arabia. And what about the long-term consequences? Will this arms deal lead to a more stable and peaceful Middle East, or will it only exacerbate existing tensions and create new conflicts? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. This deal is a game-changer, and it will have a profound impact on the region for years to come. We are potentially fueling a future conflict in exchange for short-term economic gains. Let's be honest, Trump has a history of prioritizing business deals over traditional foreign policy considerations. He has extensive business ties with Saudi Arabia, including the Trump Tower Jeddah project and hosting Saudi-backed LIV golf tournaments at his clubs. His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has also taken $2 billion from Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund. Are these personal financial interests influencing Trump's decisions? It's a legitimate question to ask. We need to hold our leaders accountable and ensure that their decisions are based on the best interests of the country, not their own personal gain. The line between personal and national interest seems to be blurring with decisions like this. Some might argue that this deal is a necessary step towards normalizing relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel. They point to Kushner's efforts to convince Gulf states to normalize ties with Israel and suggest that this arms deal is a carrot to entice Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords. But others are skeptical, arguing that Saudi Arabia is not yet ready to normalize relations with Israel, and that this arms deal will only embolden them to continue their support for the Palestinian cause. It's a complex calculus, with competing interests and conflicting agendas. Peace in the Middle East remains a distant dream, and this deal may only make it more elusive. So, what does all this mean for the future? Will this arms deal strengthen the US-Saudi partnership, or will it create more problems than it solves? Will it lead to a more stable and peaceful Middle East, or will it only exacerbate existing tensions? Will it boost the US economy, or will it come at the cost of our values and principles? These are the questions we need to grapple with as we move forward. The answers are not easy, and the stakes are incredibly high. This is a pivotal moment in history, and the decisions we make today will shape the world for generations to come. It's a high-stakes game, and the future is unwritten. This single decision could ripple through global politics for decades. Okay, folks, that's a wrap on this deep dive into Trump's $142 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia. It's a complex and controversial issue with no easy answers. But one thing is clear. This deal has far-reaching implications for the US, the Middle East, and the world. What do you think? Is this a smart move for US security and economic growth, or a dangerous gamble with potentially disastrous consequences? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth analysis of the latest tech and geopolitical developments. We need to keep this conversation going. Your voice matters. Thanks for watching.